James Bond. Old Bond.
James Bond has always been a symbol of well-dressed elegance and style. Whether grappling with steel-jawed villains or charming enemy agents, Bond can always rely on an immaculately tailored suit.
Egyptian builders?
He was fairly sharp looking, and so that he could get into all the expensive bars where they seemed to recognize him. You know, the faceless spy or Mr. Bond. Martini shaken, not stirred.
What an unexpected pleasure. Welcome to the Majaba Club. Buy you a drink? Major a mastervan? Or may I call you Triple X?
So just tell us a little bit about what you were wearing in that scene.
I was wearing a sickly grin.
Commander James Bond, recruited...
James Bond, I suppose, represents British male fashionability. His clothing is both understated, he's a civil servant after all, but is also finely made of the best materials and represents a kind of escapist glamour. That's what British style is all about, the rules and regulations, and a playing with those rules and regulations and a seeking after glamour. Nobody does it better than James Bond.
Nobody does it better.
James Bond's taste for fine tailoring was at the heart of the promotional campaign for his very first film, Dr. No.
Hold it! May we call your attention to Mr. Bond's impeccable tailoring from London's Savile Row? The shirt is of hand-tailored Indian madras. Also the cravat. An essential feature of Mr. Bond's wardrobe is the pistol in his right hand. It is a Walter PPK. It has a delivery like a brick through a plate glass window.
Ian Fleming wrote him as a man who would be able to move easily in and out of all kinds of different situations, which instead of meaning, you know, just going into action, he would have to be able to turn up in a minister's office. He would have to be able to travel easily.
Sir, I respectfully suggest that you change my assignment to Nassau.
Is there any other reason besides your enthusiasm for water sports?
Perhaps this, sir.
The identity of James Bond's real-life tailor lies hidden inside the pocket of a brown suit worn in Thunderball.
Now this is a Anthony Sinclair suit, and it's been made in 1965 and says Sean Connery Esquire inside it. It's brown and black mix of wool, and it looks like a mohair. And it's got no vent at the back, not very wide lapels, and it's very, I'd say, very 1960s, early 60s shape. 2 buttons, which was the trademark of Anthony Sinclair's suits at that period.
Sinclair's style was known as the conduit cut, after the Mayfair street where he had his workshop. Bond director Terence Young was a client. He sent Connery to Conduit Street, and the 007 look was born.
Don't spend your time sitting around.
No, sir. I won't.
Good luck.
Thank you, sir.
Sean Connery made way for a new Bond in 1973, and actor Roger Moore recruited the tailor who dressed him in the TV series The Saint, Cyril Castle.
Cyril made me the most marvelous dark blue cashmere coat for my first sort of entrance in New York as Bond in Live and Let Die. Because you have so much action, you have to have not just only double suits, but triple and maybe 4 of the same suit.
Charlie?
And you could probably go through 10 different changes of outfits, so you can count on 40 suits, which is a very expensive part of the budget. It was more than I got paid, which is why I stole the suits.
Hello, Felix. You know how I hate to trouble you, but I've run into a little bother.
In the 1970s, Bond's status as a style icon was threatened with the arrival of the safari suit.
They hated the safari, didn't they? In fact, I had so many safari suits because I stole them all because nobody else wanted to steal them, I guess.
In a bid to create a smarter look for the 80s, the producers turned to another Mayfair tailor with an impeccable film pedigree, Douglas Hayward.
Dougie made me the most exceptional clothes. He, I think, is among tailors sort of genius.
James.
Moneypenny, a feast for my eyes.
Hayward put Bond back in a sober three-piece suit, the smart, restrained look favoured by his celebrity clients.
Here with the Chief of Staff and wants to see you immediately.
I'll be right back.
I can hardly wait. Oh, haven't you forgotten something?
Oh, well, as M's away.
Born and raised in the East End of London, Doug Hayward would go on to form lasting friendships with some of the biggest names in film and television, such as Terence Stamp and Michael Caine.
He was much more than a tailor. I mean, here in this where we're shooting, this was like a gathering place. Whenever you were away, you came in here and then you saw everybody sitting around on these sofas, just sitting around having a cup of coffee. You could always fall in here about 12:30 and find someone to go to lunch with. And it was like a club in here, really like a club.
Hayward's brand of understated elegance was a well-kept secret that only those privileged enough to wear his clothes were in on.
It was brilliant tailoring without drawing any attention to itself whatsoever. You didn't care that anyone didn't notice it. You knew. You see, it wasn't for anyone else, it was for you. And his clientele are not people who were out to impress with their clothing. They were out to dress well and feel good, which we did and do. I've got his jacket on now, I feel good.
You know, Michael, when he's not on camera, he's fairly scruffy. But you know, Dougie smartened him up. He polished up quite well.
Hayward would achieve celluloid immortality with his work on a film that has become a classic of British style, The Italian Job.
What happens when you're an actor, one of the things that helps is when you've done your hair in the way that it's supposed to be and you've got the makeup and then you put the clothes on and you look in the mirror and you know who you are. And I knew exactly who Charlie Croker was when I looked at myself in that suit.
Very elegant, sir. I do believe you've put on a little weight.
Yes, well, I've been in America, you see. It's the bread in the hamburgers.
Is that so?
Yes.
Well, I'm glad you're out. I'll be back.
I don't want to be rude, Charles, but times have changed.
I'll tell you something, Adrian. When I went in, that was all the go.
What did you do? Life? You know, Charles, you could put all these in a museum.
I'll tell you what I'll do with you, Adrian. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll take this lot
Quite
now.
revolting.
Eh? I'll take this lot now. You wrap them up and do us a favour, Adrian.
Yeah.
Shorten the sleeves, will you, love? I'm not a gorilla.
That was very typical, that suit of what you... And as you'll notice, it's a very, very tight one. And I'm looking over the camera and I can see Roger Moore in dark glasses looking straight at me. Oi! Stop it, we're filming. This is a great ord, by the way. She's...
The old boiler.
Yeah, the one who's always here for us all.
Yeah.
There's the boys here. Boys, I think there's a bit of a euphemism of them. Morning.
Morning.
Everyone's been here ever since I came, you know. He's been here ever since I came. Look, Roger Moore. He was here.
He gave the best inside leg measurement.
Yeah, he did. A wonderful inside leg he'd do you. Smashing. And this is where you used to go in to get measured. And there's a very nice view, look. This is it. This is where it all happens. Right? And it hasn't changed one bit since 1963. Except for he was too young.
It's too young.
I got this. This is very fine. You don't see how much tape he's got here.
Days like these that I remember, singing songs and drinking wine, while your eyes play games with mine.
Doug Hayward, the man who dressed a generation of British film stars, died in May 2008.